Hi, I'm Michael Smith for Nevada Trails. Tonight, a very special show. I have Nancy Raven, who is an artist extraordinaire. We had her exhibit still here at the Copeland Arts Center. I'm not sure if it'll be here when this show airs, but you actually had two of my young interns riveted on your art. And I don't know much about it, but is it called tin can pinhole? Is that what you'd call it?
Well, just pinhole, basically. Yeah.
That's what I thought, pinhole.
Yeah.
And you have an exhibit, and they're just beautiful pictures.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And I guess this is one of your cameras.
This is one of the cameras, and most of the photographs in the show are tin can pinholes. But there's lots of different ways that you can make a pinhole camera. And I'll show you some different examples of those today.
Well, it's funny with all this fancy technology. You made a camera out of a U-Band coffee can.
Yeah, well, I really like U-Band coffee.
I do too. But I'm thinking, geez, I shelled out a whole bunch of money for this thing, and your stuff was pretty darn good out there. And I'm like, maybe I got the wrong kind of camera.
Yeah, well, you might not have the right brand, but anyway, this is what I started with. The ones that I'm using now are actually larger. At Christmas time, you see those huge popcorn cans for sale full of different colored popcorns.
Oh, I love those.
And that's the can that I use now, a larger can. But I just brought this in today because it was easier to handle. And I'd just like to show you a little bit about the technology.
Well, what happens, we had a show like this, and when you were working on your exhibit out front,
right.
and they walked by and they just stopped. And the younger people don't have a lot of attention spans these days. So when they get hooked, I was like,
oh,
what's got their eye?
Yeah.
And it was you. And they're like, how could you do this? You know, so I'm really a big fan.
Yeah.
And then before we get started, but can you look at some of these pictures? Can you zoom in on them?
Yeah, these are all tin can shots.
So the people know exactly what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw out there that you did the Danberg Ranch. Is that what some of these are?
Yeah, and the Dangberg, these two here, the one down below is just a little barn that I found someplace. And that's the Carson River last winter, just as it was freezing over. And
it's absolutely beautiful.
yeah, I love that one too. Yeah, and so there's the little bridge going over the river, and I just put my camera on the cement barrier and took that picture. And, yeah.
Now, is this like purely time exposure? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, it's pretty much time, and the light has a lot to do with it. If it's a very bright day, you want to be careful not to let it be open too long because you'll just burn the paper. And well, I can show you what
Yes. Tell me how you do this because I want to do it
too. Well,
too.
first of all, you buy a can of U-Band coffee.
Yes.
Yeah. And the first process is to spray the whole inside of the can black.
So
now,
you have
I've put a piece of mock white paper. I'm pretending this is photographic paper in there right now. But the first step is to spray the can matte black
So
so
get
there's
the
no
can,
reflection.
paint the inside black.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then you have to put something over the lid that disallows any light from coming through the lid too.
Okay.
So,
And you can pretty much get photograph paper anywhere these days.
yeah. And then inside where you want your lens, we're calling it a lens, I took a drill and I drilled a 1/4-inch hole right there in the side of the can. And then inside that hole, I've cut a little tiny square out of a Coca-Cola can and put a needle prick through that.
Okay.
And then that needle prick gets taped inside, so that's really all that takes the picture is that little tiny needle prick.
Okay.
And then you have to make a lens cover, which is this floppy thing here.
A little piece of...
And magnets that you can get at a craft store or like Beverly's or Michael's or something like that.
Okay, yeah,
They have
Michael's
these
has a lot of
nice
crafts.
little round magnets, and then you hold the lens cover shut with a magnet.
Wow.
Yeah, and so you add your paper in the darkroom, put it around, and it goes, as you can see, it goes almost all the way around the can, which adds to some of the distortion that you can see in the photographs. And then what I do is I mark the lid and mark this to show me when I'm ready to take the picture where the lens is exactly, because you can't stand in front of it and look at that. You want to be behind, know that the lens is right there. And I would set this on a box and maybe even put a rock on the top to keep it absolutely still while I'm photographing. And then I pull away the magnet. I put my finger over the hole until I get this magnet holding the lens open. And then I carefully remove my finger, watch my watch till maybe 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, depending on the light. And then again, I cover up the hole with my finger while I wiggle the camera around and close it. And then I make the magnet with a black. This means that there's film unexposed in the camera. After I expose it, I turn it like that.
Okay.
To show me that I've shot that camera.
That one's done?
Because there's no technology to tell me that.
Well, when you go to a shoot, you have like 10 cans?
I have, yeah.
'Cause you can't change the
actually
paper out there.
13 big cans.
Because you can't
Yeah.
change the paper.
No,
because
you can't do
You're
anything.
one and done.
Yeah. So I look like a bag lady. I'm going along with my great big Costco shopping bags full of big tin cans, and a whole morning you might only get 13 possible shots. 13 cans.
Well, that's awesome, though.
yeah.
I actually have a plastic U-band at home just ready for you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
good,
yeah.
good.
I actually do.
And in the course of it, I've been doing this a couple of years, I was still getting light leaks because cans tend to bend and the lid doesn't fit tight, so I devised this little, it's like a rubberized fabric, and I just make a little collar around so that there's no light leak coming in around the edge of you have to really
Wow.
watch everything. Yeah. So anyway, that's the tin can pinhole. And then my smaller photographs, which I'll show you in a minute, were taken with this little guy. This is just a little plastic camera that you can buy through catalogs. It's called a Holga. They're becoming very popular. You can see the high technology, the rubber bands that hold everything together here.
That's one of my favorites.
But anyway, you load it. It takes 120 film, and you remove the lens, and again, you put a pinhole in there. And this is not quite as long a time exposure as the tin can because it is film. So you kind of, again, affix it very sturdy. I have some little tiny sandbags that I kind of scrunch it into.
Okay, that makes
And then
sense.
I open the lens and count 1, 2, and then I close it. And that takes the picture with this guy. But I brought a couple of photographs made with that small camera. I was on a trip last
take notes
year.
on that one.
And I took pictures of the hotel rooms that I was in with this little camera. And I just love the looks of the night lights in a hotel room. They're so soft, so I just
You're like me. I love
tried
black and
these.
white. I can take pictures of anything, and it
Yeah.
looks so excellent with black and white.
But this took about 6 minutes exposure.
One picture?
One picture, yeah, because it's just the lamp light. It's not a sunlight picture. It's a very soft light, but I just love the effect of the way they look,
Oh,
So
yeah.
those are taken with the Holga. And you can also, the advantage of the Holga is you can use color film. too.
Wow.
You can, like the little red barn in my display, that was taken with the Holga with color film. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, and then the third way that you can arrive at a pinhole is if you just have an old film camera. Again, just take the lens off, and in the body cap you can drill the hole, again, the 1/4-inch hole, and
Okay.
then put the little teeny hole in it, and use it just as a regular camera. And this was taken with an old Minolta film camera that I have, which is the easiest of all three. And they're nice too because
That's absolutely beautiful. It's so soft.
Yeah, that's what I love about pinhole. It really has a nice soft look to it.
Well, you have
So-
a lot of work here, too. You have a lot of pictures here.
Oh yeah. And I'll show you the difference of, this is the same building. Maybe you would like to hold one of these.
Oh, sure.
And this is with a regular camera. This is just my Minolta without the pinhole, and that's my Minolta. Oh no, this is a tin can picture of the same building. So you can see how the curve of the paper affects the composition of the picture.
I like it.
Yeah.
Are you teaching young people how to do this?
Well,
Seems
no,
like you're a teacher
I'm going
style.
to do a workshop through the Art Association in November. And I have some little coffee cans. I'm going to give them out and turn them loose and let them see what they get. And
Well, that sounds fun.
then we'll work in my darkroom and see what.
Why don't you go ahead and give out your contact information so if people are listening, they can get it now and then maybe later in the show, too.
Yeah, sure. You phone number
Whatever you want to do to get people to contact you. Your
Okay.
email or...
or email probably be better.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's Nancy Raven, one word, 81 @gmail.com.
Sounds good, because
Yeah.
I think we might get some volunteers to be in your show.
Yeah.
I always tell young people that are like models to talk to photographers, and they can pose, and the photographer gets a model, and it's a good win-win for everybody.
Oh, right.
Because we've had some really beautiful at the Copeland Arts Theater, there's a theater group that rents some of the space, and I know the kids would love to have the pictures,
Oh,
and this would
yeah.
be some good pictures, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, different style.
All right. When I was still living in Monterey, I've only been here for a couple of years, but I started Pinhole in Monterey, and I actually had this little book printed of some of my images.
Oh, okay.
And should we just look at some of these quickly?
Well, let's see if we can give it a try. Can you zoom in on those?
Yeah.
You got to keep it still
This
for a
is-
while.
This was out on the beach at Asilomar, and I just tried just putting it on the sand. And here this little kid had put his bike on the beach.
I like that angle too.
Now this shows you what the negative looks like.
I actually thought that was fireworks for a
Yeah.
second. It's palm trees.
Yeah.
I didn't see that out there.
I know,
in the-
everybody thinks it's
Yeah.
explosions of fireworks. And so this is much smaller. It's been reduced to be printed in the book, but it's a very large negative, and this is the positive of that.
When we come back from break, we'll talk more about the negative and the positive.
Yeah.
Because that's a question I have.
Oh, okay. Do you want to take a break before we?
That would be going in about a
Yeah.
minute, I think.
And then these are just some different photographs with the pinholes that I've taken over the years. But anyway,
Well, they're very, very nice.
yeah. And it shows me with my tin cans.
The tin can lady.
Yeah.
But
right.
it's so simplistic, it's almost hard to think about. I mean, it's great.
Well, it is, and except for the time factor, people these days want instant gratification, and there is none of that here.
Well, I find a lot of things we put on the show are just for things that people can do to relax. And there
Yeah.
is no instant gratification. It's just take your time and do it right.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back with Nancy and talk about some of her other things she does besides camera work,
Okay.
her music. Right back. Thank you
All
very
right.
much. Hi, we're back from break with Nancy Raven, and when I was looking at your exhibit out there in the Copeland Arts building, I was confused about this. You had negative and positive on them, and I just needed your explanation.
Okay. Well, as I said, this is what came out of the camera. You go back into the dark room and you unload that piece of paper inside the tin can and develop it. And if you're lucky, an image appears. Lots of times it'll be just a black piece of paper or a white piece of paper you've managed to miss totally. But what's really exciting is when you see an image like this appear through the chemicals and the developing.
Wow.
And then you let that dry, and then you put that image face down on a fresh piece of photographic paper, and then you expose that for maybe a minute. And so the light has to actually go through paper instead of film to make the print. And so you lose a little bit of the detail, but not enough to really matter. And then you develop the print, and so I could make as many prints of this as I would like to.
Well, I tell you, one of the things I took photography 3 times because I just loved it.
Really?
And this is like the old days when you get back in the dark room and have play with the paper, play with the chemicals.
Isn't it fun seeing the images come
Oh, that's the best part. And I
Yeah.
used to put in all kinds of different things just to see what the images would be. And then it seemed like this digital stuff took away all the fun stuff.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It's not fun at all to me.
Yeah.
Some of it's okay, and I see some good stuff, but this is the fun. So for a relaxing
Yeah.
hobby of people who still have their dark rooms,
Yeah.
time to get the pinholes going. We'll do a revolution over digital.
I wonder if they're not teaching it in some of the colleges still.
Actually, I thought they were still teaching how to develop film and
Yeah,
things.
maybe in Reno they have.
Well, I took one up at Lake Tahoe Community College. It was one of my classes I took
and there
it
was
at.
a darkroom there.
Oh yeah, it was great.
And I think Carson has a darkroom in the college there.
I hope so. Yeah, because
but whether they actually do pinhole as one of the techniques, I don't know.
well, I think it really could make it a lot more fun to do that when
Oh,
people
yeah.
have a goal.
Yeah.
And this is sounds like a great hobby. So
Yeah.
in November, you're going to put together a class. Are you going to have it here at the Copeland Arts Building? Or?
It's going to be no, it's going to be just at the Art Association.
Oh, okay.
We meet at the Parks office building. There's a community center room there.
Well, you said you were real happy with the Arts Association.
Yeah, they're a really wonderful group of people, and at each meeting they meet one Friday a month, and they either have a demonstration, one of the artists gives a demonstration of how they do work, or they bring in an artist to do a demonstration. Like last month it was a pastel artist who did animals, really beautiful stuff, and she gave a demonstration, and then people went off and took a picture of their animal, and they used the technique and came out with some really beautiful stuff.
Well, trading ideas is a great thing.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
So they're all eager to know about pinhole, and so we'll have a little workshop.
Well, I've had a lot of fun just with the artists around here, with yourself, and because it changes all the time. How long was your exhibit here for, by the way? About 6 weeks?
It'll only be here 1 more week, so
Yeah.
probably this program won't hit it. But
I mean, you were here for a while, though.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I've been
so
here for a couple months.
Yeah, so people
Yeah.
should stop in and see the new artists, because you were too good not to get on the air. I had to get you on the air no matter what. And because if you come down to the Copeland Arts Center, people have passion, and that's what I always try to get, if people really love their work, and I think the kids can easily fall in love with that.
Well, and our next artist is Susan Hayes, a woman from Genoa who has a nice multimedia exhibit to put up. And so her opening will be October 19th.
Excellent.
And that's from 5 to 7, and we'll have a little wine counter, wine bar, and nibbles. And
Little nibbles,
and
little
reception.
wine.
Yeah, natural reception. So
Yeah, that's
hope you
always
can come.
fun. I have another friend who's going to try to get on the list to go to, and I actually want artists to get here and call in contact and see how you
Sure.
can get on the
Yeah.
your exhibits here, because
Well, and if anyone's interested in applying for an exhibit, Lee at Heartstrings has the application forms, as does Steve in the office, but if he's not there, Lee would have them.
Okay, what's the criteria for getting in?
Well, they have to fill out an application and leave us a website where we can look at the art and make sure it's applicable and acceptable to public viewing and that kind of thing. But it's not too tough.
Do you have to sell your art to be in the exhibit?
I haven't thought about that.
I had one person that had some lead art and like a pencil art or something.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to sell anything, and I wasn't sure if he didn't get
I'm
here.
not sure because the gallery really has to make a little money off of
Oh,
it.
is that why?
Yeah, and all we charge is 25% of the sales, but
Oh, well,
which
how'd
is
you do?
really low for.
Did you sell some art?
I did. I sold 3 pictures.
Excellent. Probably sell more after this.
Yeah.
Because your art's really good.
Yeah.
Well, we were also talking, and you said you entertain kids.
Yeah, I did for a long,
And
long
I'm
time.
plug my best friend. Lucky Duck's going to be.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Lucky Duck is. It's been one of my best friends has been playing at the governor's mansion. This will be his 9th year.
Wow.
And so we were doing, I guess, third administration, and just something we do to go out and help kids. This is a picture from Kids and Horses.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the kids
Yeah.
are autistic and Down
Yeah,
syndrome.
I've been out there.
And this was the Pumpkin Patch fundraiser. And one thing I learned is when you're with Lucky Duck, it's probably not to be good to be walking around the horses.
Oh.
They're not used to
They
seeing
should, yeah.
not used to seeing 6-foot ducks. But
Right.
anyways, kids come down to the governor's mansion in Carson City and see Lucky Duck, get your picture taken with them. And
So is that a Christmas event or what? Or is it any time?
Lucky Duck? Lucky Duck is at Governor's Mansion for Halloween.
Oh, just Halloween time.
Yes.
Okay.
And we were at during Easter's too, but it depends on what they want to do. This time, this
Okay.
Easter, the governor took the kids on a road trip.
Oh.
He has teenagers.
Oh.
But enough about Lucky, now about you. Nancy Raven is also she's done 10 CDs of children's songs, and I'd like you to talk about it because I was curious. It said something about water.
Yeah, this was the last one I made in Monterey, and I was really wanting to make a CD that related to oceans and fish and rivers and lakes and things. And so I dug up, what I've always done is to research old folk music and try to bring it back to life, because so much of the new music is just sort of cutesy, bouncy kind of stuff, but there's not a whole lot of learning happening in it. And some of the old folk music is really rich and beautiful in terms of learning about cultures and traditions and things like that. So that's what most of my music has dealt with. And so I have stuff out of Africa, Latin America, and Asia, and on my different CDs. And I tried to kind of pick a theme with each CD. One of them is all about food in the past, what people, how they fixed food or ate food or whatever. And
Well,
so this one is
what's
about,
your target for ages? Because Lucky Duck likes 3 to 8 is the age.
that's kind of what it is.
Because
yeah.
I know when we're performing that we get down when it's a younger child because they from the distance they think you're Big Bird and then they get close to go wow.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
I get down and for the little ones and then when they get past 8 they're kind of too cool.
Oh yeah.
But in the middle they're very loving and they are a thirst of knowledge. So you're teaching them how to enjoy
and they'll
music.
sing along. And
Yeah. So you have 10 of these, so that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I started in a co-op nursery when my own kids were tiny, and I don't. If the theory of the co-op is that mothers come and work a couple of days a month so that you don't have to hire anybody beside the teacher, and you're supposed to bring something, a talent or some activity on your work day. So I had just gotten an old guitar and I just started singing with the kids and digging up old American folk music. And one day a woman who actually was in the recording business heard me. She said, "Nancy, you've got to record some of that stuff. It's valuable and it's being lost." And so that was the beginnings of early American folk tunes were my first few CDs. And then I moved to Berkeley out of Southern California, and I found a whole world of multicultural stuff going on, and so I really added a lot of wonderful multicultural music.
Do you ever play with another guitarist?
Sometimes I do, but usually when I was on the road, I was a single pony act, you know.
I always try to volunteer Daniel behind the camera.
Oh.
We'll switch spots and I'll shoot it and you guys play. Well, we'll have to have another show because he's really good.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, anyways, folk music is one of my favorites because one, it tells a story and you kind of puts you someplace in time.
Yeah.
And it just makes you happy.
Are you going to do a Halloween show?
Oh yeah.
Well, what's the date of that?
10/31.
Oh, right on Halloween.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was going to say.
Oh, but you mean for this show?
Yeah.
You want to do a Halloween show?
No, for your duck show.
Oh, that will be at the Governor's Mansion, and we'll be posing for pictures, and we usually get more pictures taken of the Lucky than the Governor.
So there's no music. I was going to say I've got some great Halloween.
Well, I was going to
songs.
say I'd love to see if I can talk to him about bringing you.
Yeah.
Can you play right next to Ducky, Lucky?
Sure.
Lucky Ducky.
Oh God.
I'll ask Kristen if she'd like the idea.
Yeah, I've got a great few songs for Halloween.
Because I think that's a good idea. Actually, I've asked Daniel if he had time to come and tape us.
Oh yeah.
Daniel's like,
That'd
wait a
be
minute.
great.
He's getting
He
volunteered.
had plans. He was
Yeah.
going to put on his outfit.
Well, it's very relaxed, and the kids kind of you kind of keep the kids entertained. I've graduated. I used to be at the very beginning of the line and
Yeah.
keep everybody happy because it's pretty long. Now I'm after the governor.
Oh.
So I'm kind of a person that kind of says goodbye, thank you, and pose for pictures, and it's a good
Yeah.
spot.
How long have you been doing that?
This will be my 9th year.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great.
We're down about a minute and a half. Go ahead and give out your contact information, and then so people can sign up for your pinhole photography.
Okay.
And maybe ask you maybe if you want to show up for some
Well, the
singing.
pinhole photography workshop, I think, is restricted to the art association.
You have to be art
members.
association?
Yeah, but maybe somehow I could figure out a way to put it on a more public one, maybe here at the gallery or something.
Okay.
And, but if anyone's interested in checking out the children's music, they could go to my website. And,
Okay.
There's sounds on that, and then if you're curious about buying the music, CD Baby. Do you know about CD Baby?
I'm just learning about that now.
It's a wonderful website that you just go on cdbaby.com and then type in my name, and they have all my tapes and music and songs that you can either pick a song or pick a whole tape or whatever.
Well, what about your beautiful art? Because can they look at your art and buy a copy if they so choose?
I don't think that's been put together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they can contact you and talk about it.
Yeah, they could just come to me and talk about it.
Well, I tell you that pinhole art is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, I'm so glad you liked it.
I'm so glad
Michael.
you came on the show because I think we could probably start a little flame of people
Yeah, just a pinhole.
getting back in the
Pinhole
dark room.
club.
Well, Nancy, thank you for being on Nevada Trails.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
for having me. All right.
It's Michael Smith for Nevada Trails, and go to the Governor's Mansion and see Lucky and call Nancy and enjoy her work. She's a great one. Thank you very much.